You have some questions to think about while watching and listening to your amazing teachers and administrators.
तुम्हारे पास कुछ सवाल हैं सोचने के लिए उस दौरान जबकि तुम अपने उस्तादों को सुन और देख रहे हो.
What do all the teachers' stories have in common?
¿Qué tienen en común todas esas historias de los maestros?
Which did you find most meaningful?
¿Cuál de esas encontraste más significativa para ti?
Are the successes from just showing up valuable?
¿Los éxitos que han tenido los alumnos que se presentan a clases han sido bastante importantes o no tienen ningún valor?
Is just showing up always easy?
¿Es fácil presentarse a clases solamente todos los días?
So, when I was in high school and I was a Latin student, there were these Latin conventions that you could go to, and you can still do them today. So the Latin Club, we go to Richmond every November and compete in all kinds of different things for Latin. And in the summer, there's a national convention. When I was a senior in high school, the national convention happened to be in Virginia. So I went that year because it was about half as expensive as it usually is. And because I was there, I had the opportunity to compete in what's called Sight Latin, where they give you a passage of Latin and you read it out loud in Latin, and you use like gestures and your tone of voice to show that you know what it means and you know what it's about. And it was a piece of poetry. So Latin poetry is kind of like a sing-song type of thing, so you have to also like have a rhythm that's correct when you read it out loud. And I had never done this competition before, and I got second place in the country just because I happened to show up and decided to try something. And if I hadn't been there, then it would never have happened.
Yeah, when I was in the 6th grade, I had a math class, and I had a teacher, and I wasn't getting math, but nobody knew I wasn't getting math. But I sat there quietly, and I looked like I was paying attention, and I really was paying attention, but I just did not get math, and I just didn't get the way it was displayed to me. So one day I was talking with my mom at home, and she asked me a question. It had something to do with a form of math, and when I didn't know the answer, she looked at me strange. She squinted her eyes and she said, "You don't know your timetables." And I never acknowledged whether or not I did know them or not, but she knew I didn't know my timetables, and I'm in the 6th grade at this point. So so we spent the whole summer, but when school was over, we spent the whole summer, and she taught me my timetables so that I can move on to like 7th grade. So, you know, I made a genuine effort. Yes, you have to make a genuine effort, but she recognized that I did not know my timetables, and it was only so far that you will be able to go without knowing your math.
عندما بدأت دراستي في الجامعة أنا كنت أريد أن أدرس لغة أخرى، وكان هناك صف فاضي في جدولي، وكان عندي بعض الاختيارات الممكنة مثل اللغة الصينية واللغة العربية واللغة الروسية، وأنا اخترت اللغة العربية لأن دائما كان عندي اهتمام في هذا الموضوع. وهذا الصف ما كان لازما للبرنامج، ولكن أنا كنت أريد أن أدرس اللغة، وأنا كنت أحضر المحاضرات وأنا درست كثيرا، والأستاذ رأى أنني كنت أحب هذه اللغة، وهو قال يتم هناك منحة لدراسة اللغة العربية في الأردن، وهذه المنحة هي من وزارة الخارجية. وأنا كان عندي فرصة لأسافر إلى الأردن وأدرس في برنامج خلال الصيف، وأدرس العربي وأسافر إلى مدن كثيرة في البلد وأتعرف على الناس، وكل هذا فقط لأنني اخترت اللغة ودرستها في الجامعة.
Okay, so when I applied for my job at Herndon, I was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and the day that my interview was scheduled also happened to be Teacher Appreciation Day at my old school, and it was this big event, and they did all these great things, but I knew I was going to have to miss it because I was coming down here to Herndon. and it was a 4-hour drive. I left super early in the morning, but there was a horrible, horrible crash on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and we got rerouted on all these crazy roads, and so I had to call Herndon and tell them that I was going to be late to my interview, and I was a wreck. I was missing all this good stuff in my old school. I was certain that because I looked so crazy that I wasn't going to get this job at Herndon, but I got here on time. They still met with me, thank you, and I just went into the interview and was just kind of like, this is what it is, like I can only be who I can be right now, and it worked out, and I'm still here. And so despite missing teacher appreciation stuff at school and despite having all this stress on the way down and being certain that it wasn't going to work out, I'm glad that I showed up.
Hola, resulta que todos hemos tenido esa experiencia cuando tenemos que aprender a la fuerza. A mí me pasó que tuve una clase de matemática y lo que pasó es que yo tenía que haber tenido otra clase antes de registrarme a esto. Pero estuvo muy tarde, no pude salirme, no pude retirar, no me iban a dar la plata de vuelta, entonces, bueno, seguí y tuve éxito. Me voy a decir que no fue muy bien, fue muy difícil para mí, pero lo logré hacer. Lo que aprendí que fue muy importante es cómo organizarme para la próxima clase de matemática. Así que le dejo con este mensaje: no se rinden, sigan para adelante, sí se puede. Y con eso le digo todo, porque para empezar tenemos que terminar y es muy importante terminar. Gracias.
So when I was about 10 years old, my mother dragged me to the grocery store. And I hate going to the grocery store because she always took a really long time. But there was this new grocery store called Wegmans. And so I went to the grocery store with her, and they had just opened and they had all these giveaways. And so they had this one giveaway to look pretty cool, so I filled out the form and put my name in the box. And the week of my birthday, my parents showed up at school and they said, we have to go somewhere. And I was kind of confused. They said we were going to an appointment, and so they take me to this they take me to the grocery store, and I said, what are we doing at the grocery store? And I walked in, and it turned out I had won a go-kart. And man, it was the coolest thing, being 10 years old and getting your own go-kart. And it was all because I was there.
We love you and want all of you to be successful. The key to that success is attending school. Come to school every day. You are missed when you're not here, and Herndon isn't the same without you. Go Hornets!
Hi, I'm Mrs. Dare, and about 24 years ago, I had a friend who wanted to set me up for a blind date with the guy that he knew, and I had never been on a blind date before, and I was very, very hesitant about it. But I did show up to the blind date that day. We met at a coffee shop in Williamsburg, and we hit it off enough that we ended up getting married, and now we have 2 kids, and we've been married for 20 years. So I'm really glad I showed up that day.
Ok. Bonjour. Donc, quand moi j'étais au lycée, je détestais freshman year, surtout la fanfare, marching band. J'étais très anxieuse et je ne sais pas pourquoi, mais j'ai continué et maintenant, aujourd'hui, je suis toujours amie avec les filles du marching band qui aussi jouaient du corps, de clarinette, tout ça. Donc, c'est bien. And it all happened just because I showed up.
Ok. En 2012, cuando yo recién me acabo de graduar de la universidad, estaba buscando trabajo. Entonces, un día decidí visitar mi escuela secundaria, solo para visitar a una maestra. Entonces, ese día yo me acuerdo que le fui a visitar, hablé con ella por un rato y después yo vi al principal. Y él se dio cuenta que yo estaba visitando y me saludó. Y si no hubiera llegado ese día, no estuviera en esta posición. ¿Por qué? Porque ese mismo día, cuando yo hablé con el principal, él me ofreció un trabajo para trabajar en la educación. No estuviera aquí como consejero si no fuera por eso.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Sneed, and I have a story for you. So in college, I was a language major, and I had to take a history class, and that's not one of my favorite classes. So I started to go and I went to class, but then the history teacher said we had to know all of these dates. Well, I couldn't memorize all of these dates. And when I got my first F on my test, I was like, oh my gosh. So I didn't go to the next class. And then I had friends convince me, come on, you gotta go, you gotta bring up that F, you gotta go talk to the professor. In college, professors have hours that you go and see them. So I went with my friend, I saw the professor, and he said, it's okay that you missed one class, just come back, and if you attend the rest of the semester, you'll pass. So I attended the rest of the semester. I really didn't do very well on my tests and quizzes, but I started to pass them, and in the end, I got a D. So I always say, D for done, I did it, I showed up.